Assembly District. I was just sharing with Michael in most of these forums, we've gone in alphabetical order, so if he gets a break today, I'd have to lead off. As many of you may or may not know, I'm a lifetime resident of the foothill communities. I grew up in Pasadena, where I've been on the city council for about 23 years, former mayor. I've served in the community. I was a member of the commission that looked at the light rail and how the light rail would make its way through Pasadena back in 1985. I've served Human Relations Commission. I served a redevelopment position in our community. And as I say, I've been a member of the city council of Pasadena. Also, I've served on and continue to serve as a representative from Pasadena on the Burbank-Glendale-Pasadena Airport Authority, where I've been there for about 20 years. I've raised my family in Pasadena. I graduated from Pasadena High School. I went on to San Diego State University. I came back, degree in business administration, marketing, and I very much have enjoyed and continue to enjoy representing a community that's part of this new, wonderful 41st Assembly District. I want to also just give you a brief my personal background. I'm married to Melanie, my wife. I have 5 kids. We're a blended family. 2 are in college, one at the University of Pittsburgh, the other at the University of Puget Sound. And then I have my twins who are finishing at Pasadena High School in a couple of weeks. And one will be attending Northern Arizona and the other Cal State Northridge, and then I have a daughter who will be a senior at Pasadena High School. And so we've invested in the community. I have a small business that I run. It's a real estate consulting firm. I've been a real estate broker in the state of California since 1985. I have certainly I've worked with Don Commercial Industrial, so I've done industrial. Bring it closer to me. Okay. I've done commercial industrial properties. Am I too close to the mic?
No, closer.
Pardon me. And so anyway, I've spent a lot of time both raising a family and working within the foothill community, and I've been excited about this opportunity to work with and represent the great city of Sierra Madre. I'm very proud that the communities have worked very well together over the years. We certainly look at the Pasadena Unified School District as a shared relationship. We hope that the opportunity to empower Sierra Madre comes to fruition, and you have the opportunity to have a newly elected person that would represent your community, specifically serving on the Pasadena Unified School District Board. I think it's a time that's long past due, and I would really look forward to that initiative passing, giving you that opportunity. I've been very involved in local government. I've worked very hard within the city. We've done some great things in our community. We've created a health clinic that is serving many in Northwest Pasadena and Altadena, actually throughout the city of Pasadena. We've put in place an urgent care center when St. Louis Hospital closed to address the needs of the community and also recognize the emergency room impact that having the hospital closed would have on Huntington Hospital. And so we made sure that resources were in place so that that resource could be serving the greater community. And quite frankly, it's probably also representing a great outlet in terms of providing medical assistance to those who live outside of Pasadena, Arcadia, and many of you maybe had an opportunity to visit it as well. We've turned around our downtown. When I was first elected in 1989, old Pasadena did not look like it does now. We've done a great job working collaboratively with our community to build up a great city. And I hope I can bring, and I look forward to bringing, the same kind of measured leadership, collaborative leadership that we've been able to show on the Pasadena City Council, working side by side with Democrats and Republicans to really get things done. We've done a great job in our community, and I look forward to representing you, working with you, coming here, hearing your issues and concerns, and being a part of an advocacy process that'll get things done for Sierra Madre as well. I want to connect you to Sacramento, and we want to change things and turn it around. It's a dysfunctional community, and together, we can turn that around and make it better. Thank you.
Next, we have Donna Lowe.
Hi. Thanks for coming out today. I want to let you guys know I'm fired up. I did not think that I would be here a year ago today. I've never run for an elected office. I've been a mom of two. I've been a businesswoman. I've pretty much had my head down, minding my own business. And when I looked up about 4 years ago, not only was the country in a mess, but our state was spiraling out of control. And what I mean by that is, and it was validated again last Friday, or 2 Fridays ago, when Chief Executive Magazine ranked California 50th in business friendliness yet again for the 8th year in a row. What does that mean for our communities like Sierra Madre? It means that a lot of people are out of work because businesses are not coming to our state anymore. The businesses that are here are trying to find a way out and to move out of our state. What does that do to us? We lose revenue, we lose jobs, and it ultimately affects education and the future of our children. My 2 kids are a big inspiration as to why I'm running. I hate the fact that I have to take time away from them to go and do this, but I frankly was the only Republican who stepped forward in this new district and said I'd had enough with Sacramento and its dysfunctional way of doing kind of business as usual. So that's why I'm running. If you want to know a little bit about my professional and personal background, I invite you to look at my website, votedonnalowe.com, and that's L-O-W-E, just like the hardware store. I don't get the dividends. So I'm essentially this 50th in business friendliness and being somewhere around the middle to high 40s in education is the sole reason why I'm running. Sacramento has 3 agendas, and if your complaint or if your grievance does not fit into those 3 agendas, then you don't get heard up there. Open borders, radical environmental policy that runs businesses out of this state, and that's the biggest one, because without turning that around, we have no chance of fixing our problems here and fixing education. So I encourage you to take a look at my website. I'm very excited about running. Like I said, this is my very first time, so I'm new to politics. I don't owe anyone anything, which is great. That's a great position to be in when you go out to Sacramento. And I've got a lot of support, not only here in the district from our very own Chris Kerber, who endorsed me the night that he knew he won. He called me and he said, I'm formally endorsing you. He and I have worked tirelessly in grassroots efforts to try and to make this state a better place to live. And Howard Jarvis, Taxpayers Association, who here enjoys Prop 13. Without it, I think we would all be heading out to Texas or to Arizona and buying property out there. The National Republican Hispanic Association, who's being represented by Louis today, is an endorsement of the Donna Lowe campaign. And we've got the CRP, the California Republican Party, as well as the CRA, California Republican Assembly. And just about every Republican up in Sacramento is working really hard to get me up there to be a voice for you guys down here in the district, because we've got to turn this business climate around in California if we want to see any improvements on anything that means anything to us. Education, infrastructure, transportation, nothing can be done until we become a business-friendly state again. So again, votedonnalowe.com. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm really looking forward to representing this district up in Sacramento, and thank you for your time.
And Michael?
Thank you, Susan, and thanks to the Kiwanis Club. It's nice to come back. My aunt and uncle lived in Sierra Madre for many years. My aunt Gretchen Kachuti, because you see her name in here, was one of the city leaders that actually worked to get the Civic Center built many years ago. The reason I'm running, I think like many of you, I'm frustrated with Sacramento, what's been going on for the last several years, and we're in the midst of a fiscal crisis. And that fiscal crisis, unfortunately, is impacting public safety, education, K through 12, higher education, and generally our quality of life in the state. And I think I've got two well-qualified individuals here, but I feel I'm the most qualified to get to Sacramento, hit the ground running, and actually make an immediate impact. And here's why, let me tell you. Currently, I'm serving my 11th term as City Council in South Pasadena, my 3rd term as Mayor of South Pasadena. And during that time, we've not only increased our reserves, we've tripled our reserves. We've embarked on a $100 million infrastructure improvement program, our entire street system, water system, I know you got the water out here, and our sewer system to be rebuilt. And we have not actually reduced any vital services during that time. We're laid off, a furlough of one person during this great recession, which unfortunately has impacted a lot of cities in the San Gabriel Valley. How do we do that? We've got some of the lowest administrative and pension costs, I think like Sierra Madre does, in the entire San Gabriel Valley. In addition, what do I do for my other full-time job is I'm a prosecutor for the State Department of Justice. I work to protect consumers and seniors from fraud and abuse. I prosecute unscrupulous and dishonest contractors, auto repair dealers, and medical professionals, whether it's a nurse, a chiropractor, acupuncturist, or a large company that defrauds the state and Medi-Cal millions of dollars every year. I also sit on 3 regional agencies, the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments. We deal with all regional issues from transportation, air quality, water quality, economic development, housing, affordable housing, and homelessness throughout this whole area. I also sit on the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. I wrote then State Senator Schiff to include us and all the way out here. The boundary starts in Sierra Madre, goes all the way to the ocean. So we can take some money from Malibu, actually had a meeting last night, to bring some more money to this side of town. So with that, we brought hundreds of thousands of dollars to Pasadena, Sierra Madre, South Pass area from the west side, and the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. I'm also your representative to the South Coast Air Quality Management District, trying to improve air quality for all of us to see the mountains, but at the same time being sensitive to business, small individuals in the city and mom and pop businesses. Before that, I was for 10 years, from 91 to 2001, I was a deputy attorney for Delcan, defending the state multi-million-dollar litigation. And prior to coming to California, I was a parochial school teacher in Miami, Florida for 4 years. I coached the high school and college soccer team. And currently, I volunteer a lot of my time, whether it's Meals on Wheels on St. Vincent's Hospital, for the South Pasadena Senior Center. I'm still an AYSO soccer coach 20 years later. I'm running to bring the gold back to the Golden State. We've got some endorsements for your city. Your Mayor Josh Moran is endorsing me. Your Mayor Pro Tem Nancy Walsh is endorsing me. Councilmember John Garabedian is endorsing me. Former Mayors Kurt Zimmerman and Nina Jaffe also endorsing me. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ed, welcome.
Thank you. I'm Ed Colton. I'm sorry to be late, but I had another speaking engagement over in South Pasadena. Got here as fast as I could. Anyway, I'm a newcomer to politics. I've never run for office before. My wife Susan is back over there. She's walking in the blonde hair. And we have, in my background, I should say that Sierra Madre has been very close to us. I'm currently the president, the chairman of the board of trustees of Cathedral High School. I'm saying that only from the very get-go because we have a kid from Sierra Madre, Hayden Reddick. Does anyone know the Reddick family here? Okay, he's our quarterback. He lives in Sierra Madre. He goes all the way downtown Los Angeles at Cathedral High School, and he just got a scholarship offer. And he's a great kid. And his brother Chase is the current quarterback from Boston College. So we know Sierra Madre. Our son went to LaSalle High School. He was the 3-year quarterback at LaSalle High School, starting quarterback since the 10th grade. So all of you who live here in Sierra Madre know LaSalle High School. And we have 3 more sons after that, and 4 more sons after that. They went to various schools in the area. My background is that I'm a CPA, I'm an attorney, and I have worked for 4 large international companies. I have worked for 2 Fortune 500 companies, and Arco, my ritual company, and Baker Hughes. Both those companies no longer are here in California, that is, their executive groups. Baker has moved to Houston, and Arco was acquired by British Petroleum, and they went to Chicago. So we are losing companies. The point is we are losing companies dramatically, which is the state of our affairs in California. So my vision is that I have written a large, long paper called the California White Paper without getting into a lot of detail. provides for a lot of incentives to bring companies back to California. I don't know what everyone said here, because they all spoke, but you all know California is like number 50 as far as business friendliness, okay, as far as this tax system, sales tax, it's income tax. We're last, we're dead last, and we're getting worse. More importantly, California has a very serious issue that none of our current politicians are really addressing. They're all giving it lip service. And that is this Bible right here, this document right here, written on December 13, 2011, talks about the pension plans and the medical plans of California on a state level basis, the public plans. It stated, it's a Stanford Research Institute, it stated that there's a $500 billion deficit for those three plans. That's CalSTARS, CalPERS, and the University of California system. I don't know if you're aware of that, but every city, every county, every district in this entire state is in trouble. Now, there's not one district that have, maybe your district, Michael, I don't know, but not for long, because even though 2012 Pasadena may say that we balanced our budget, but starting in 2013, they're going to revert back to what they were doing in 2011, 2010, 2009 when they could not balance the budget. Because the pension plans are actually going to destroy the state. They're absolutely going to destroy the state. We have to address this. Not one politician today who's running for office, this is a crisis. This is an emergency. We need to address this today, right now. Is there any politician that they talk about it? Why are they not doing anything about it? Because there's an election. There's an election on June 5th. There's an election coming up in November. Nothing's going to get done. That's what they need to work on. And my background as a certified public accountant, as an attorney with an MBA from USC, I can articulate economics, accounting, finance. I've been there, done that before. I've been to 25 foreign countries. I have worked with foreign governments. I have worked with foreign companies all over the world, whether it's Bangladesh or Chile. Do I have time? I didn't know I had time. Thank you. So I'm the guy that no one can get, that no one will snow up in Sacramento. There's not a person that's running, in my opinion, that has my background in economics and accounting and finance and has been president of a pharmaceutical company of 3,500 people under me. I was vice chairman of the board, I was on the board of directors, and I turned that company around from its potential bankruptcy. I've been there, I've been battle tested before boards and shareholders in Tokyo, Japan, and all over the world. So I believe, if you will elect me, I will do the job that you have done in Sacramento. And we need to focus on many other things, and let's bring businesses back to California. I have tax holidays I'm proposing for companies to come back here. I have tax credit limitations with respect, property tax limitations with respect to people who are 65 and older. It goes on and on and on. It's in my white paper. So I didn't know the limitations. I apologize for that, and I apologize for being late. But if you have any questions, you want to see me after this, I'll be happy to answer the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, so now we have Q&A from the audience. Judy, where is Judy? For the assembly candidates only. And some of you may have to leave, but I'm going to ask as the candidates come to the front, you basically stay there because as we have more time, there may be additional Q&A. Okay.
Okay.
You'll have to come up.
There's a question from for everyone from the members here, and it's: do you support the 710 tunnel? And please explain.
This is the question of the year.
I helped this guy out. Okay. No, it doesn't make any sense. You all drive the 210 freeway? You ever go east? It's backed up right now. I've had to go, I'm sure Botanic was west, but I had to go east a number of times to various meetings. It is the worst freeway, I think, in Los Angeles right now. You know, our money would be better spent on more rail systems. That's the way in the future. We don't need more freeways. We don't, especially, you know how much it costs to build a tunnel? A tunnel, we're not talking about, a freeway on top of the ground. It's incredible that we even think like that, logically. State has no money. So with your scarce resources, what are you going to do? Build tunnels or try to build a future rail system that's important to our community here and the communities that we serve in this district?
Okay, any other answers? We have a couple other questions.
And I agree with that. There's several issues. One is cost. And South Pass has fought this for over 4 or 5 decades. We've been told it's $1 billion, then it went to $4 billion, then it went to $10 billion. It sounds like high-speed rail, doesn't it? That's one issue. And as Ed said, if you look at the gold line, which I've been an alternate member of the Gold Line Construction Board for many years on and off, representing South Pasadena. Just to go from Pasadena to Azusa is $700 million. Then from Azusa to Claremont or Montclair, you're talking another $750 million. And to get to Ontario Airport, a few hundred million. You could build 10 of those, for which you build one little 4.5-mile tunnel under South Pasadena, El Sereno, and Pasadena, the west side of Pasadena. Second issues are environmental. I sit in the AQMD board, and one of the big issues is what's going to come out of those ventilation stacks. The 250,000 traffic volume cars going through there every day. And I'll tell you, because I prosecute small check stations, and you know what happens when you test what comes out of your exhaust pipe? Nitric oxides, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, hydrocarbons. If you're diesel particulate matter, which when you inhale stays in your organs. And the studies we're doing right now at Cedars-Sinai show it causes a cellular malfunction similar to cancer, and it's passed on to the offspring. So there's those issues of environmental health, your own health. There's also many other issues with the gold line. We need to get a 21st century transportation system, not an outmoded freeway 19th, 20th century system. Because all of us, I'm going to be in my senior years very soon. You want to be driving on your 90-95. You want to be able to walk across the street, hop on the gold line like I do a couple times a week, and take it to work. Or if I want to go out to Claremont, take it to Claremont. We need it. We used to have back in the early 1900s. What was it? The Pacific Electric car. Let's bring it back. Millions of people rode it every day. We can do it again.
Chris and Donna, and we'll get back to this.
We'll make it quick. First of all, I think that it's certainly been a project that's been debated for many years, and in terms of the region and cities that are part of the larger region, many of them are on record supporting the project. SCAG is also, and many of the other San Gabriel Valley cities endorse the project. I do not support the surface route that is going to be studied as a part of the environmental impact report, and that process begins now. So I really am endorsing and supporting everybody participating in that, because it's at a stage now where communities and people who have value, interest in the project, one way or the other, will have an opportunity to weigh in. It's an MTA project. They're calling for 3 different options: a surface route, which, as I said, I don't support, a tunnel, or do nothing. Well, do nothing basically is status quo. And so the communities will have to decide whether or not any one of those approaches is best. The MTA as a region will move forward in its planning and discussions on how to address it and whether or not it's economically viable, or even whether or not it's environmentally viable. If it turns out not to be, then the project will not happen.
I think we need to concentrate on bringing businesses back before we can spend money that we don't have. But I lived in New Hampshire during the time of the Big Dig. So if anybody's familiar with Boston, and they tried to do a tunnel, I don't remember the last projections of what it ended up coming over budget by, and it was in the hundreds of % over budget. Unrealistic, and it's just an undertaking that's not feasible. But I'm also not in favor of looking at rail systems until we have the revenue to help pay for it, because we keep taxing people who aren't even born yet. And we're never going to pay off of any of our debts if we don't seriously look at where we're spending our money and how we bring revenue into the state, so that we can eventually look at healthy projects that are sustainable.
Thank you.
Okay, coincidentally, the next question is, what would you do to help bring jobs to the San Gabriel Valley?
Got to be brief.
I think right now the biggest thing that is I'm from Texas, so y'all might have heard y'all and Vixen. Sacramento's got its boot heel on the throats of businesses through all of the regulations. You take your pick, AQMD, EPA, CEQA, all of these are redundant environmental impacts on businesses. We've decimated manufacturing, which are great middle-class jobs. We've decimated trucking. We have put the final nail in the coffin of farming in our own state because of environmental impacts or what's perceived as that. And so until we get a handle on what type of environmental regulations we want to put forward to these businesses, we are not going to invite any businesses back. They will go and start a business in Reno, in Arizona, in Texas, just like they have continued to do over the last years, and we keep bleeding our jobs outside of this state because of environmental regulations that are crippling the business community.
I think what we got to do is invest in infrastructure. The Southern California Association of Governments came out their blueprint for transportation for Southern California, including in San Gabriel Valley several weeks ago. And was spent $500 billion, $227 billion just on upgrading our rail system, our roads, because they're falling apart, they're crumbling, aging infrastructure. Another $200 billion on mass transit, some highway systems. Just looking at the gold line, let's take the gold line Pasadena to Azusa, phase 2A alone. I was out there a month ago, seeing dozens of iron workers working, putting in reinforcing steel, seeing the carpenters putting up the forms, the engineers working, the person handling the caterpillars, the earth moving machines. 6,900 jobs for that phase, 7,000 jobs for phase 2. What about the ACE Alameda Corridor construction, east projects? There's 3 projects set to start in the next couple of years, 11 to 12,000 jobs right there. And that's great separation, so as you take the goods from the ports going out east, whether it's San Diego, which they're doing right now, puts it underground or above the regular traffic. Just signed a contract last week with a company, it was a Japanese company, but they're based in Boston, and that's to build the trains. The new trains for the Gold Line extension, which will be opening up in 2015 to Azusa. That's a $200 million contract. They say $180 million in jobs just here when they assemble the stuff here. So let's invest in our infrastructure. Let's improve the levees, the roads, the water systems in California, like FDR did after the Great Depression. We can create jobs that bring us back and interest money in the state tax dollars. I'm sorry, I have to go to speak at another one of your.
You are.
What's the other club called?
Yeah, you did say you are. It's okay. Thank you, Mike.
All right, well, you know what? You can do all the cost savings you want in California. That's very nice. But you better recognize your competition. The competition is Texas. The competition is Nevada, is Washington, is Florida. Why? Because Texas doesn't have an income tax. Oregon doesn't have a sales tax. Washington doesn't have an income tax. Nevada doesn't have an income tax. Okay? I mean, there's part of the issue right there. And all these states are not statewide and just allowing us to kind of go down the tubes without bringing those companies to their states. Apple Computer is now building a plant in Dallas, Texas. Apple's in Silicon Valley, right? Why are they going down there? No income tax, rebates on employees, and they're hiring down there and job training. So we had better address what's going on with respect to our competition. In my ideas, 17 points of ideas, I call for a tax holiday of 10 years, maybe it's 15 years, where companies will come back to California. They pay no income tax, but they pay a personal income tax because they hire employees. The personal income tax in California represents 45% of the entire state's revenue stream. They pay sales tax if you bring these employees back here. That accounts for 25% of the entire revenue stream that comes into the general revenue fund. So California loses 10% corporate tax or business tax, but it gains 70% of taxes in sales tax and personal income tax. I know, I'm trained as an economist, I'm trained as an accountant, trained as a certified public accountant, and a tax lawyer. I've been engaged in this type of stuff for a long, long time. If you want someone to go to Sacramento who can articulate the kinds of stuff that's been snowed by our legislature, who are following leaders who are no longer leaders, then that's fine, vote for somebody else. But if you want somebody who's going to make a difference and will report back to you, the constituents here, as to what's really happening, I can articulate, I can debate with any accountant, any tax person or any economist, but we must bring business back here so that we generate revenue. We're focused on cost reduction so much, which is great, but we're forgetting about the revenue stream. That's the most important thing to bring our state back up to what it used to be. Rather than be number 50, which we are, Texas is number 1. And one of my other ideas is, let's go for a part-time legislature. Well, that's kind of radical, right? Well, number 1 state in the United States, Texas has, guess what? A part-time legislature. Why not? I'm proposing tax credits for companies who hire employees. Here, I'm proposing that companies hire UC, Cal State, and any private school in California. Hire those kids first before you hire college graduates outside of California, and you will get a tax credit for hiring our people here that we have paid for educational costs in this state. Let's start getting back the benefits that we're paying for. And I can go on and on and on.
We have 2 other off districts. Go ahead.
Very quickly. Look, all I can do is tell you to judge me by my results. When I joined the city council in Pasadena in 1989, Old Pasadena was a derelict community. But we worked together with the preservationist community, with the development community, and we've now built up Old Pasadena downtown that's second to none. It's a model where it's being looked at all over the country. We invested in our downtown by building parking structures to support the businesses so that they would have the ability to thrive and to grow. And we allowed that to happen. And the only downside to what we were able to do, we saw a lot of businesses that were organic to the community, that were mom and pop, that were taken over and basically taken out by more of the national chains. So that's the balancing act, obviously, that cities have to continue to work through. But then the public projects do work. They are bringing jobs, and they are creating. You go out here and see a bridge being built across the freeway, people are working. And that's going to bring in a light rail system that at one point will connect us to Ontario Airport. Those projects can work and do work and will put people back to work. But we also have to look at creating the right kind of incentives, the right kind of balance so that our local small businesses can grow and can thrive. And that's what we want to do. And that's what we've been able to do in Pasadena.
Thank you very much. We have additional questions, but we have 2 other districts and candidates present. We'll get those, get through those, and if time allows, we'll get back to some of the other questions for the candidates. At this time, we're going to do the California State Senate, and we have a representative from Carol Lou's office. And can you come up here? You guys can stay there so people can recognize you. You're all new to us, pretty much. Okay, and we have a representative, Louis Alvaro for Gilbert Gonzalez, and then we have Amina for yourself. So again, the representatives, in the case of Carol Lou and Gilbert Gonzalez, you'll hear from their representatives why they're not here. But they did want you to know that it was important for them to have a presence. So that's why they have representatives here. Okay. And we shall start in the order that the names are on the ballot. So that's Carol Lou. So please introduce yourself and tell us why.
If I talk really loud, can you guys all hear me?
No. You have a mic.
Okay. I'm Victory Murphy. I'm with Carol Lou's campaign. She is in Sacramento, and they are in the budget process right now because the budget approval is supposed to be in just a few more weeks, and so it's the worst time, really, right before an election for budget time, because then that's the time that everybody wants to see a candidate, but it's the time that they absolutely can't leave in the middle of the week. So I'm here just to say how much I love Sierra Madre. I know that the senator loves Sierra Madre, and we're very much looking forward to the opportunity to represent Sierra Madre in the new 25th Senate District. I've put some of her flyers for the campaign on the back table. They have her website here on the back. It's carollou.com. And if you have any questions about her, you can email them, or maybe you'll find information on her website. It's got an extensive bio, etc. So thank you very much for being here. Oh, and lastly, she's also a Kiwanis member in Montana. So yes.
Okay. Senator Liu is currently a state senator, but with the new district, she is no longer going to be representing her old area. She is now going to be representing the newly created 25th district. Okay. For Gilbert V. Gonzalez.
If elected, of course. Good afternoon, my name is Luis Alvarado. I am a senior advisor for Mr. Gonzalez. I come here on his behalf. He also is in Sacramento working on some projects, and very briefly I would like to tell you a little bit about him. He's a native of the city of Fresno, a young man working the fields, his family migrant workers from the early 50s. Had a harsh background, yet he was able to overcome those adversities and actually put himself through college, working from the age of 16, and eventually graduating from Pittsburgh College with a degree in media communications and political science. And even while at Pittsburgh College, he was already involved in his community. He started a tutoring program for homeless children while at Pittsburgh College, and after graduation actually started a program to help illiterate incarcerated youth learn how to read and write. So they had a chance as well. After Pittsburgh College, Mr. Gonzalez had several duties that actually included working for Republican Senator Bob Dutton to the point that he became his chief legislative analyst, and also worked for Mayor Antonio Frigosa for the city of Los Angeles as a business development director. So as you can see, Mr. Gonzalez has worked under both sides of the aisle, had success in working on both sides of the aisle, and understands the challenges that we're facing in Sacramento, which are basically cultural. Yes, we've heard from the other candidates that are specific issues that are challenging our state, but it has to do mostly with culture, with the ability for the elected officials to have a conversation with the people across the aisle at the same time, not reneging on their ideals that they are so strongly entitled to defend as they go and talk to you. So, Mr. Gonzalez has experience on both sides of the aisle, has experience in public and education. He sits on numerous boards of education, from community service to business to political entities. So he comes with a very strong background. I also invite you to visit his website, Gil for Senate, and you will learn further about his very extensive background and his expertise on all these subject matters. I also have a few flyers in the back. So thank you once again, Mr. Gonzalez. I'm glad to be here at business. He's in Sacramento right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we have Amina Ford.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, I'm the actual candidate for California State Senate in District 25, and I pushed everything aside to be here today. My name is Amina Fuller, and I'm running for California State Senate in District 25, and I'd like to tell you why I'm running for the California State Senate. The answer to that question is very clear. I'm the best person to bring about the results that you need in Sacramento and bring those benefits back to the district. And let me tell you why I believe that. I am the best person to represent District 25. I have worked diligently for the Democratic Party as the former vice chair of the African American Caucus, a delegate, and I currently sit on the standing committee for affirmative action for the Democratic Party. Recently, I was acknowledged for advocacy work and efforts to support seniors' rights and the #3 best-selling book on Amazon, Why Wait? The Baby Boomer's Guide to Preparing Emotionally, Financially, and Legally for a Parent's Death. I'm a former legislative aide, and I was appointed to the California Association of Health Facilities, Governmental Relations, Quality, Operations, and Services Subcommittee, and I'm a former candidate for California State Senate and District 31. I'm an alumni of Chaffey College, and I hold a Master's of Arts in Public Policy from New England College. I have worked in healthcare for about 30 years, and I have worked as a government consultant for Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, we recover funds from Medicare program. This means that I prevent fraud and abuse of the Medicare program to safeguard Medicare for future generations. Last year, we recovered $140 million back into the Medicare fund. These are the types of results I can bring about in Sacramento. My focus will be on the economy, education, veterans' rights, and seniors' rights. When it comes to economics, unemployment is critical to reduce the unemployment rates through effective policies that promote small businesses, retraining of displaced workers, and supporting veterans' rights and putting veterans back to work. This new direction in healthcare will open windows of opportunities pertaining to retraining by earning certificates in technical fields and increasing the marketability of workers. When it comes to education, expanding distant learning opportunities as well as enhancing teacher training programs is the backbone of our communities. We live in the best place in the United States for tapping into solar energy and supporting green technology. Promoting affordable green homes by offering builders tax credits will make California a model green state. I'm a candidate that will work hard to bring jobs and turn the economy around in the district. I think that representatives should focus to put people back to work in the communities. I promote an economic growth agenda, work to reduce waste in Sacramento. Remember to consider the change and vote for Mina Fuller for California State Senate, District 25. My website is votefuller.net. We have lots of forums going on this week. We have a block party on Sunday. You're all welcome to participate, and I look forward to speaking to each and every one of you after this forum. Thank you very much.
Do we have additional questions that haven't been turned in for the Senate candidates? Okay.
Okay, we have a question. Sierra Madre has a large number of retired residents on fixed income. What have you done, or what would you do to protect Proposition 13 and keep the total taxes from increasing?
I don't know what the representative.
You know, Senator Liu represents herself in answering questions like that. I'm simply here to be on her behalf, but not to answer questions on behalf of her.
And does she address this issue on her website? You know,
I know that there is information about seniors in the work that she has been doing, so it's in the legislative history. So I don't know whether specifically that question, but someone could mail it to the campaign and we could get that answered.
okay.
I'm prepared to talk about it. Basically, if you look at this new Senate District 25, the majority of it it's a residential community. And it is a senior community. And one of the things that we see in Sacramento as we open our newspapers or turn on TVs is how the financial crisis is crushing the state. And the reality is that at some point, there are going to be elements in Sacramento, there are going to be elected officials that are going to try to tap into Proposition 13 as a revenue source. Unfortunately, they're not tapping into the other problems first, like pension reform and the liabilities that is causing the businesses to flee the state. Senator Gil Gonzalez is strongly opposed to tapping into Proposition 13, even with any types of gimmicks like split roll, which is what they're trying to do is separate the commercial property taxation from the residential taxation of the properties. And we believe that that would be a complete killer for this state when it comes to jobs. The reality is, it's a cultural thing, and it's an ideology that we're trying to defend. And this state has been hit so hard because certain elected officials in Sacramento just stand so strong with their party that they're inflexible to anything that has remotely to do with common sense and reason. That's why Gil Gonzalez is running for state senate, because he understands it's a new district, he understands the challenges, and his background, experience, and ideology are best defined to protect Proposition 13. Thank you.
Well, as you know, as I previously stated, I'm a strong advocate for seniors' rights. And afterwards, if you want to ask me specifically why, I will tell you why I'm so passionate about seniors' rights and also about making sure that we don't increase taxation on seniors that are on fixed income. So Prop 13 is not one that I would be looking at to put the burden on seniors. I want to make sure that we increase our revenues by making sure we do job creation in California. We can do this in California. We can create jobs, we can bring businesses back, and we can make California a friendly place to do business and doing infrastructure, bringing the rail system so people can commute to go to jobs, people can support tourism from South Pasadena to Sierra Madre to Claremont. We need to have all of that activity going on. We have to come up to the 21st century on our economics so we don't tap into seniors to look for these revenues. We need to have revenues coming from our great state of California with jobs and economic development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, the Kiwanis Club members, for allowing us to address the issues of Sierra Madre. I'm Jack Horswell. I am a candidate for the United States Congress. My background is I was born in Pasadena. I went to Pasadena High School, went to Pasadena City College, and on USC getting my degree in business administration. Went into the FBI, and for 15 years I worked white-collar crime, including government fraud and abuse, political corruption, labor racketeering. After leaving government service, I started my own business, and for the past 22 years, I've been a small business owner, lead employee, people who do environmental assessments for commercial banks. In the community, I'm a Boy Scout, I'm on the Boy Scout Council, San Gabriel Valley Council, Board of Directors. I'm a youth leader working with high school age kids today. I'm an elder at Trinity Presbyterian Church about a mile down the street. And probably my most famous community role is I am in the Sierra Madre City College band every 4th of July. And on a few occasions I've even been to the percussion section. So my daughter learned how to tap dance and ballet right in this hallway. And this building has always been a very favorite spot because this is where the band stops and gets some water during the break. As far as why am I running for Congress? David Dreyer's been my congressman for almost 30 years. He's represented this community for as long as I can remember as an adult here. His priorities have always been personal economic freedom, a reasonable system of taxation, and a strong national defense, and I stand for all of those issues. Other things that I'm interested in is education, that the Federal Department of Education telling local schools, local teachers, to me, is a waste of taxpayers' money, that we need to give the power back to the school teachers and back to the parents, and to start saving money tax-wise in the entire federal government budget of overspending by over $1 trillion every year. It's a terrible financial burden to our children and to our grandchildren. There are services that have already been paid for, and the enormous debt. We're up to about 70% of our GDP right now, and it's getting worse and worse, and it's time that we turn this nation around. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Duran. I'm also a candidate for Congress in the 27th Congressional District. I guess just a point about personal biography. I'm LA native, born originally from the Echo Park area of downtown LA, if you know that, the beautiful lake there. Was raised out in Bellflower, went to the public schools there, and also went to public university here in California, Cal State. Also got a degree in business administration. Does it sound like you're... I don't want to sound like exactly like Jack's background. We did take a little bit of a different turn. I didn't go to work for the government, and I've never worked for the government. After working in public accounting for some time, I went to law school. But as an accountant, I had an interest in income tax and estate and give tax, and that's what I pursued. went on and completed my studies in tax at New York University. I joined a law firm here in Los Angeles when I completed that work and was worked for many years in a law firm life. I was a partner in a national law firm based here in Los Angeles, and about 6 years ago, I left the firm to open my own office. That's my professional biography, I guess you could say, but it's important to why I'm running for this office. The particular problems that are afflicting our country at the moment seem to have everything to do with finance, with taxation, with regulation and laws that are crushing the life out of the productive elements of our society, whether they are business people or just individuals who are being asked to do more and more and more. As I mentioned, I'm an LA native. I've lived for 20 years, in almost 20 years in Pasadena. I have 2 teenagers, and I guess my connection is to Sierra Madre, as I have a teenager who will be starting in Granada in the fall, but no longer in Sierra Madre, of course, in Pasadena. As I mentioned, I think that my background is perfectly suited to the kinds of problems that we're confronted with in the national government. I think, as everybody knows, the federal government is spending well more, or as my daughter would say, way more than it takes in revenues each year. Every year for the last 3 years, the budget deficit has exceeded $1 trillion. And there is no apparent change in that based on any action or inaction by the federal government. The difference, that delta in the shortfall in revenues, is being plugged by borrowing. Our federal government is approaching $16 trillion in debt, and that's the balance sheet debt. We also know that there's different estimates, but there may be as much as $100 trillion of contingent liability obligations that our federal government has made for various things, including Social Security, including Medicare, and all other sorts of obligations that are there that we're going to have to deal with. And what I see in our federal government is a very small vision of what America is and what it can be. And I think that that's sad because I grew up in a different time. I was a boy when we landed on the moon. And I have to tell you that it was a different time. It was an optimistic time, even though there were a lot of problems. Believe me, I know about the racial problems that we had in the 60s and the civil rights issues and so forth. I was living part of it. But nevertheless, there was an America that was up here that was inspirational, that was aspirational, that we could land somebody on the moon. And so that's the America that I believe in. That's the America that I grew up in. That's the America that I want to help preserve. Now, I'm an older person now, let's say, but I'm still very idealistic about these things. I was idealistic when I was young, and I'm still idealistic about my country and my state and even my city of LA, which you probably know and have read. This time next year, it'll be insolvent as well. And so, idealism alone, though, is not really going to make the difference. We have to have experienced people, I believe, private sector people with the right kinds of backgrounds, the right kind of experience to deal with these very important problems. We need to turn out the 9% approval rating incumbent careerist politicians who are responsible for this predicament that we're in. They need to go, and we need to have fresh faces, fresh ideas, fresh experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello, everybody. Fred Ortega. I am a representative for Congresswoman Chu. Unfortunately, Congresswoman Chu could not be here. She had a prior engagement, a keynote speech up north that is scheduled well in advance of receiving this notice. But she wanted to make sure that she was represented here, and I am her district director. I am here, though, on my own as a campaign volunteer during my lunchtime. Thank you so much for scheduling me during lunch so I can do it off the clock. I also handle several local policy issues for the Congresswoman, including transportation, healthcare, and immigration. So I've been with her for 4 years, so hopefully I can help respond to some of the questions that come later towards the Congresswoman. A little bit about the Congresswoman herself. She's dedicated her life for the betterment of her fellow residents here in the San Gabriel Valley in Southern California. She was born here in Los Angeles, got her doctorate in psychology, started her career as a counselor for victims of domestic violence, rape, and substance abuse. She went on to teach community college for over 2 decades, helping some of our more vulnerable student populations to achieve their dream of moving on to a 4-year college education. She did that for 20 years, more than 20 years, and then there was an opportunity for her to run for city council in her hometown of Monterey Park. She won, backed by a very diverse, wide-ranging coalition, and then she went on to serve 3 terms in the state assembly. While in the state assembly, she introduced what at the time was the state's most successful tax amnesty program. It generated $4.8 billion in revenues for healthcare, education, public safety without raising taxes at all. It was just a tax amnesty program. It was extremely successful. She went on with her experience there to work on board legalization, the state tax board, where she helped close special interest tax loopholes and help represent small businesses in their tax disputes with the state. She was elected to Congress in 2009, a special election to replace now Secretary of Labor Hilda Solis. And since she came in during the middle of our greatest economic crisis since the Great Depression, her focus was from the beginning and continues to be on jobs in the economy, a laser-like focus. She actually serves on the Small Business Committee, and she understands how important small business is to this economy. 2 out of 3 jobs created in this country are created by small business after all. So she's done her best in Congress to introduce legislation like the Entrepreneurial Startup Growth Act, which actually provides assistance to small businesses as they get their taxes filed, to help them navigate the tax process and to also get financial planning assistance at the same time. But she also understands that legislation can only go so far when it comes to helping our small businesses. We also have to bring the resources of the federal government to bear right here in our own communities, right here on the ground. So what she's done here in her current district, the 32nd Congressional District, is bring workshops to small businesses here. We've had 5 workshops last year. We have 5 more of them scheduled this year. These are workshops that range from helping small businesses to raise capital, to qualify and apply for Small Business Administration-backed loans, helping businesses who want to expand overseas. We bring the resources of the government, Department of Commerce, to answer their questions on how to navigate the export process. Contract procurement with the federal government. We have very little of that here in the San Gabriel Valley. It used to be much bigger back in the days of aerospace, when this was a center of aerospace, but that's gone away. And so we need to help our small businesses navigate that. So we bring not only federal officials, but state and county officials to these small business seminars. And in fact, the next one we're going to have is just down the freeway in Glendora. That's going to be a Small Business 101 seminar. So this is just part of what she's done here in the district to bring resources to our small businesses to help them grow this time. She's also obviously been very strong on getting funding for infrastructure projects. She's worked together with her fellow Congress members on both sides of the aisle, Congressman Schiff and Breyer, to help accelerate funding for the Gold Line, and we can see it going up. It's wonderful to see that iconic bridge structure going up on the freeway just down the hill here, and we hope to see that completed on schedule up in 2015, along with the 7,000 jobs that it will create and the hundreds of millions of dollars of economic development that it will stimulate. So just a little bit of background on what she's done in Congress, what she's done before she came to Congress. Congresswoman is a coalition builder. She knows that working together we can accomplish anything, and working together we will cement our nation's position at the forefront of the global economy. Thank you so much.
Okay, do we have any additional questions? Because we have a few for the congressional candidates. No more questions? Then,
It seems that one of our biggest problems is working across the aisle on the state and federal level do you promise to work compromising on all issues and especially the budget? This is for everyone.
Candidates only.
Yes. The main reason I'm running for Congress is because I see Democrats and Republicans fighting and building a wall across the aisle. My motto is leadership, not politics. I see a tremendous lack of leadership inside the Congress. They're putting politics over the good things for Americans. And I want to go back there working with both Democrats and Republicans, building a stronger America for everyone.
Well, let me give a lawyer's answer. I guess it depends what you mean by compromise. I'm not interested in just cutting the baby in half on important issues. I don't think that's really what representatives should be doing and need to be doing. Of course, oftentimes that's the politically expedient thing to do now, isn't it? I think I'm looking to represent American people. I'm looking to represent the productive elements of this society against the spenders, the people that just want to spend and spend without compromise. I'm looking for what is, whatever the issue is, to give it a thoughtful and independent review, analysis, and decision. Compromising on things that are truly important, I think, is no virtue. And spending, of course, is a vice. Now, there may be some things that are purely matters, or what I would call a prudential matter. So whether, the income tax rate is 28% or 29%, on an issue like that, there may be a compromise position because the fate of the republic doesn't depend on that. But on matters of principle, of constitutional principle, compromise, no. Friendliness, good cheer, willing to talk to anybody, yes. Thank you.
I know I'm not the candidate, but if you don't mind, I'd like to just address that question really quickly. I know I mentioned the Congressman has worked in a bipartisan fashion already on local issues, but there are also other larger issues where we, as candidate Duran said, don't necessarily have to compromise, but we can work together and can agree on a certain principle. The small business and the economy is obviously an easy one for us to work together on. And as an example, the Congresswoman held a field hearing here in Pasadena last year where she brought the chairman of her subcommittee, Representative Mick Mulvaney of South Carolina. Now, as most of you know, South Carolina considers itself the birthplace of the Tea Party, and Congressman Mulvaney is a proud conservative. But they came out together. They have a great working relationship. They listen to the issues of the small businesses out here, and they worked together to address those issues and help the SBA be more responsive to them. So the Congresswoman does believe in working together, and will continue to do so as your Congressmember of the 27th District. Thank you.
Well, once I'm not the candidate, but I'd like to address it as well. Very briefly, Mr. Gonzalez, when he was the legislative director for Senator Bob Dunn in Sacramento, basically let me tell you what that job is. Those are the people that sit down and actually write the law, look at the nuisance, and then sit in the table with the other legislative directors and actually figure out how to write and implement a law, and then find a way for at the time their bosses, the elected officials, to present to the constituents so they can actually ensure that there's success. So he has a demonstrated history in working with both sides of the aisle, not only working under Senator Bob Dutton, who's a Republican, but also working under Mayor Villaraigosa, who's a Democrat, in working very ardently to ensure that business and both sides of the aisle work together hand in hand and identifying the challenges and finding solutions. So Mr. Gonzalez is a solution finder, and he will demonstrate that as well with this new Senate District 25. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to tell you that I ran against Bob Dutton 4 years ago and almost beat him by 43% of the vote. And I was at a forum similar to this, and after the forum, he came up to me and said, I liked everything you said. Now, can you come and help me implement those things? I said, maybe so if you vote for me first. So that's just a little joke to show that you can compromise, you can see, you know, the different solutions, even if you are different parties. I am going to be a public servant when I'm elected, not a party servant, but I'm going to serve you. I want to be around to do summits, to hear what the people have to say, to go and represent you in Sacramento, and not be a party politics person in Sacramento. I know all about that. I do know how to work with all parties, and I do know how to bring about results. And if someone can tell me that after just simply hearing my ideas at a forum that was already an elected representative, then I can tell you that I must have had some really good ideas to share with him. So, I mean, these are the ideas that I can put forth. If we go on with a status quo, then we're going to get the same results the next 4 years. Now, I've heard some of the same situations and same problems 4 years ago that I'm hearing today. So I'm here to tell you, if you vote for me, Amina Fuller for California State Senate, you're going to see results in the next 4 years. You're going to see me in your communities in the next 4 years. I will be here at the forums in the next 4 years. I won't send a representative. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm basically like Bob Durant. I'm a tax attorney as well in my background, so he and I share a lot in common there. One of the things that's lacking in Sacramento is economic accountability. And I've looked at the assembly. There's 87 men and women up there. 52 are Democrats and 28 are Republicans. We as the Republican Party are being put in the position of either saying no, no way, or we're going to try to work together. In my opinion, looking at the 52 Democrats that are up there, there is virtually only one or two who have a real economic or accounting background. There are a number of lawyers, but as far as what our problems right now in the state of California, it's all economics. So my intention is to go up there, and based upon my mediation and arbitration skills I've had in the past, is to be able to reach across the aisle. I'm actually appealing to independents and Democrats right now because I'm a centered Republican. I don't have extreme views. So when I go up there, it's my intent, with my educational background, my business experience with 4 international companies, is to try to teach some of the Democrats and some independents up there of what we need to do. And I will listen as well. But you better go up to Sacramento with the position of knowing what's right and wrong regarding our economy. Understand the budget, not be snowed by someone who says that the budget 6 months ago or 5 months ago was $9.2 billion, and 5 months later says it's $16 billion, and the legislative analyst's office said last year it's $18 billion, and then there's a carry forward of $6 billion from the prior years of 24 to 27 billion. We don't know what the budget is. We are totally confused because the individuals up there right now are not able to articulate and define economics in a clear way. I can go head to head with any economist, any accountant, and that's what I will bring up there. And I also will be accountable to you as the constituents that every 2 to 3 months I will report back in a paper that says this is what's going on in Sacramento from an economic point of view. There's not a candidate in the assembly that's running right now that can do that. In fact, they left me by myself, okay? So here I am. But no, truly, I believe that I have the opportunity to make a difference, and that's what I want to do.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank each of you for taking the time and the representatives as well. It is important to our community to hear from the people who want our vote and who want to represent us. And we realize we're not like the big dog on the block, but we're pretty vocal. We have opinions, we're pretty busy, and we have a wide range of influence. So thank you again for coming. I'm sorry we couldn't get through all of the questions, but you may be hearing from me again. We may figure out a way to have you answer them and let the public know what those answers are. This debate will be on the Mountain Views News YouTube channel shortly, and we will let you guys know that as well. Kiwanians, I want to thank you for your attendance today, and we have about 10 minutes to break down. Thank you, Phil.